The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.
We're so honored to have on award-winning actor, producer, director. He's written his own autobiography that came out in 2019 with this book. Plus, he plays in the Lieutenant Dan Band and has his own foundation. Gary Sinise, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You know, what really made me want to bring you on the show, Gary, was the incredible album that you did with your son, Mac. The first one that came out, like a year or so ago. And then now you have part 2 coming out, Resurrection and Revival Part 2. But listening to this first album and with having Mac in studio and you and I were talking and listening to every one of these tracks, it's just so powerful. And I understand the vinyl has already sold 3,600 copies already?
Yeah, the first record, we put that record out. It came out earlier this year, so about 10 months ago or so.
Right.
My son had a very serious rare cancer called chordoma, and he fought it for 5.5 years. And last year, the final year of his life, he was a musician and a drummer, and he played music all his life. And during the final years of his illness, he really didn't do much with that at all because he was fighting the cancer so hard. But last year, he went back to music, and even though he was disabled, he completed some music that he wrote in college.
Right.
He teamed up with a buddy of his named Oliver Schnee, who is a composer buddy. They're both writers, and Oliver helped him to finish the music, and they made a full album of music, sessions in Los Angeles last summer.
Right.
And then we moved here, and they did 2 sessions here in Nashville in November, and then the record was finished in December, right before he died. So he never got to quite see it all completed, but he heard it all.
Yeah.
And he designed the album cover and did all that, and the record came out shortly after that. And he wanted all the proceeds from the vinyl to go to support the Gary Sinise Foundation. So 3,600 copies later, the foundation has raised a lot of money with that, and now we're going to do the same thing with part 2.
And listening to the first album, Gary, it was, and once again, Mac being a multi-instrumentalist and studying music and writing music, but it's like his harmonica was so powerful, and he started out as a drummer.
Yeah.
But then his harmonica work on here, just like on Amazing Grace and on Shenandoah, and we were talking about the new video coming out for Tura Lura Lura, the Irish song, and this video is just incredible. But also, I love seeing your band and the other, musicians, but also seeing Mac there, in the thick of it, and that song just gets in your head.
Tura Lura?
Yes.
It was a song that, there's a few songs on the first record that Mac just wanted to do for his mom, and they were songs that she used to sing to him and his sisters when they were younger, and Tura Lura was one of them, and because Mac was disabled, he couldn't play drums anymore. His mom recommended that he pick up a harmonica because he could hold it. And his lungs were compromised from the cancer fight, so it was actually very good for him to play harmonica because it helped to work his lungs. He taught himself harmonica and learned all these songs that he plays he even plays the Star Spangled Banner on the first record.
Which sounds incredible.
In this beautiful version that he wanted to do. Oliver did a wonderful arrangement of the strings on that. And now, fortunately, we had one more track that didn't make it onto the first record of Mac playing harmonica on the old Western classic Home on the Range. And so, like you heard Amazing Grace, where he's actually sitting on our back porch.
Because you can hear the birds and the cows.
Birds and cows over there and everything. And he wanted all the nature sounds for that, and he recorded Home on the Range on the back porch as well. And unfortunately, he didn't get to see this finished, but we wanted to take that harmonica part and then arrange around it. He had written an arrangement with Oliver, and so we brought that to life, and that's on the second record as well.
Well, and I think it's so incredible too, Gary, that with the second album, that you found a lot of this as you started going through Mac's files and everything and finding, music and little things he had recorded, and then also some of his friends from college who, are also on the albums. And this is a double LP with this new one covering so many different music styles. I thought the first one was incredible. I can't wait to hear the full second album.
There's quite a variety on it. Yeah, after he died, you know, I just, you know, we're all heartbroken and all of that. And I start looking through his iPhone, just looking for messages, just looking for whatever I could find, and looking in his Dropbox file. And I found all these files, and they were all these music files of things that he'd written and kind of tucked away. Some I'd heard because he wrote some of this music for my foundation. After he started working there in 2017, I said, why don't you write some of the music for our videos? And so he started doing that. So we took some of that. That's on the record. But then there was a whole bunch of other music that I'd never heard, that he'd never played for me. Wow. And I just started discovering it was like this treasure box of beautiful music that he'd written and just kind of tucked away. And I thought, at that point, I thought, there's so much here. I just can't let it just sit here in the files, never to be heard.
Right.
So that's when I called up his buddy Oliver and I said, we got another project we got to do, and we're going to go to work on part 2. And there's so much music on it. There's 19 compositions on it, 17 originals and 2 covers on this record, and it's a wide variety of genres on the record. It's very entertaining. It's
what I think was so brilliant about it too, what I love about it, Gary, is that, as you were telling me, to where a lot of these tracks too, a lot of these songs, Mac opens them. So with the files and everything that you found, it's, you know, it's like he's playing in this second one, part 2 as well, you know, through, you know, the files and everything, the audio files that you found.
There's 2 songs on the record that Mac had. He was working on them in his head. He was writing them in his hospital bed. We had a hospital bed at home for him. And he was writing them in his head, and he had a little program where he could tap on like a little keyboard and stuff and put the notes into his iPad. And I found these voice memos on his phone of him singing the melodies of 2 songs. One is called Quasi Love, and it was the last song that he wrote. Another one is a big band swing tune that he'd never written any jazz stuff before. And all of a sudden I find this chart, and then I find the voice memo of him singing the melody into his phone. And so I wanted to include those. So I said, let's put Mac at the beginning of these songs, singing the melodies of the songs that he wrote, and then the band kicks in and starts playing. And on Quasi Love, that's the one you mentioned that his buddies came in.
Right.
Mac was a drummer, and he had 3 drummer roommates, so there were 4 drummers at USC.
That sounds like a lot of pizza delivery people.
It was a lot of banging on everything in the apartment, I'm
Anytime
sure.
you put that many drummers together in one space.
Oh, it was crazy. But they were all very good friends. They were all drummers. He had he had guitar players that were buddies. I called them all up and I said, I want you to come out. And I brought them all out, and I said, you got to play on this record for Mac.
Yeah.
So they're all on it, and we're going to release a video for Quasi Love very, very soon. It's really heartwarming to see all his friends as a part of that recording.
Well, you know, and to me also, you know, and from the photos and from the videos, and also just, you know, with you being a bass player also, but the joy on your face while the music is being made, you know, it's like you and I were talking about it before we came down to the studio. It's just that musical bond that you know, that you can't explain it, you know, but then also to be able to bring Mac's music, you know, up front again with this part 2, it's so powerful. I mean, I'm not in charge of, you know, sales and all this kind of stuff, but I have a feeling that this second one, part 2, is going to do even better, because listening on Spotify, you know, to the first album, it was so powerful. The songs just grab you and they get in your head, but then, you know, it's like they sound like movie soundtracks, which I know is what he was studying also.
He really would have loved to be a composer for movies. And he loved making the music for the videos at the foundation. One piece that was the piece that kind of started the whole thing off is early last year, about February last year, 2023, he said to me, Dad, there's a piece of music that I wrote in college, and I'd never finished it. I think I want to go to work on it. And I remember standing in his room, he's in his hospital bed, And he said, do you think Dan is my violin player in my band. He's very close with all my band members. He's grown up with them, you know.
Right.
He said, do you think Dan would help me flesh this out? And so I said, call Dan. I'm sure he would. And Dan did. Started working on it. Then my keyboard player got involved. Then Oliver came on board, finished it up. And Arctic Circles is the piece that he wrote in college that started everything. And then it turned into a full-on 10-song album. Wow. And now, called Resurrection and Revival. Mm-hmm. The videos are on Mac Sinise YouTube, so you can see the videos from the sessions. And now we have Resurrection and Revival Part 2 coming out. It's going to be available at GarySiniseFoundation.org, and eventually it'll be on Spotify and all those digital platforms, all that.
You know, and what I was thinking too, and I know that with the videos and everything you've done so far, particularly with the first album that's already been released last year, but I thought you could do, Gary, like an immersive experience with the videos, with the stills, and with all of this music behind it. You know, because we were joking about, when, for a mission to space with, as you opened up that and did the voiceover to that, it's like, I just feel like the music is so immersive. Yeah. With Mac and with your band and all the other musicians you brought in and did this new album at Ocean Way Studios here in Nashville also.
The music it's really good music. So I'm not just a dad who's got some, Mac was a musician. Right. I play, all my band members, they all know it's really good. My hope would be to, and I'm doing some writing about Mac and all of that. My hope would be to not only put the record out and put it out digitally and everything like that, but tour around a bit and let some orchestras play some of this beautiful, beautiful music. I mean, there's quite a lot of orchestral stuff on the record that's very powerful and
but
very
it's like
beautiful.
With Arctic, it's just
that's an emotional piece. That really gets in your gut, just the way it's laid out and the melodies and everything and the piano in there. It's a beautiful piece. And on the second record, there's more orchestral stuff. So I'm hoping to get that music out there and let people hear it live, and I'll probably be spending some time on a lot of Mac projects here over the next couple of years.
Well, we were talking too, Gary, that you've found other music and other songs to where you might even have to do a part 3. But I think the idea with the symphony is just incredible to be able to showcase, Mac's music, and could even involve, obviously you and the Lieutenant Dan Band, 13-piece band, that does so much. For our veterans and first responders and USO awards. You've gotten so many awards besides what you've done for film and TV, also for your patriot work and for the United States and giving back to our disabled veterans and that we need to all be aware of. And just like, with the title of your book, with the service and everything to bring back to people, what are you giving back? And you're one of those people that have certainly done that. But also, I think it touches me so much hearing this incredible music that you've done with Mac for, with this album, this double LP. And it's just, I think it's amazing music.
I'm glad you like it, and I'll come back and we'll play more.
Sounds good. You might have to bring your Fender jazz bass too. We could do a little jamming, and
I'm the my band. I've got all professionals in my band. I'm the only guy who plays for free. I'm the amateur in the band, so I'm the weekend bass player.
Play from the heart. Like you and I were talking with so many great movies and TV shows that you've been in throughout your career, even back to your theater days, in Illinois and everything. But also, with the Lieutenant Dan Band, you give from the heart with it. And so it's so great, I think, that you're able to go out and do these shows for veterans and recognize them. And I mean, it's just great work, Gary.
We're all over the place doing concerts. That's what the band. That's why I have the band. I mean, I'm not playing in clubs. Occasionally, we'll do something, but it's generally always revolves around the service mission and giving back to our military and our military families and lifting them up. So I go to military bases and hospitals and everything. One fun thing I will mention that we did this summer, and I thought it would take a lot longer to get to play at the Opry.
Oh my gosh!
After moving here.
Yeah.
Because I just moved here in September, and in July, they've been really great. I mean, we've sent some of our wounded folks over to the Opry, and they've hosted them and brought them backstage, and you know, some of our Gold Star families and everything like that. So we've developed a good relationship there. But the 30th anniversary of Forrest Gump was this past summer in July. And so we teamed up with the Opry, and they did the Grand Ole Opry celebrates the 30th anniversary of Forrest Gump. My band played, Gary LeVox played, Jamie Johnson played, Scotty McCreery was on the bill, the Gatlin brothers. I mean, there was a whole bunch of people.
So you've arrived. You've played in the circle now.
I stood right there.
So you're like full Nashville now.
And they've asked me to come back. So I guess it went okay. Yeah.
I think so. Well, I want to make sure, and you mentioned it earlier, but with the foundation, with the double album, with everything else, I know also the first album is available and your book is still available also. I just want to make sure for viewers where they should go to find everything for you, Gary.
Yeah. It's very easy. You go to GarySiniseFoundation.org. You can look at our merchandise, you know, our store. We have a store there. The album's there. The album's right on the homepage of the website right now. You can find the book there. The book's available on Amazon. The Resurrection and Revival Part 1 is available on digital platforms, and eventually Part 2 will be there as well. But the vinyl is the thing right now that we're putting out, and that comes out in a couple of days.
Well, I'll tell you what, and be sure and go on the website. Check out the packages too, because there's a number of great packages on Gary's website that not only get this awesome music with the double LP, 19 songs, it's just immersive. I can tell you, if you listen to the first album, which I recommend you add that to your playlist also, it's so powerful, and I think you really have done a huge tribute to Mac, and also, you know, to the way paying back with this music. Be sure and get your own copy of the double LP, however you consume music. It'll be on digital also, but get the double vinyl and support this incredible foundation. Gary Sinise, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.